Hello, my wonderful, wonderful friends, and welcome to another Bible study video. In today's video, we will be studying the book of Genesis, which is the first book of the Bible. This video will be the first in a very long series as we go from the beginning of the Bible and read our way through to the end. We will be spending the next few weeks in the book of Genesis, which is the first book of the Bible, and I have made an outline for you to follow along. But before I start with the reading in the book of Genesis, I want to give you a background on the book of Genesis. So the book of Genesis, the literal word Genesis, means beginning. So what better place to start than the beginning? Genesis was written by Moses. What's interesting about this is Moses doesn't appear until the second book of the Bible. He doesn't appear until Exodus. And so what's interesting about this is that usually back in those days, not a lot of people knew how to write or read for that matter. So very few people could actually record what was happening. And so Moses probably had heard these stories being passed down by word of mouth for some time. And he was actually able to write them down. And actually Moses is attributed to writing the first 5 books of the Bible. And why we attribute it to Moses is because they're referred to as the book of the law of Moses. So his name is actually referred to in the first 5 books. And just as a reminder, the first 5 books of the Bible are Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. They're also referred to as the Pentateuch. So now that we've talked about the author, we can go into more about the book itself. It was written, we're estimating, around 1450 to 1410 BC, which is a long, long time ago. So obviously this book has gone through a lot. So with that, with a little bit more background on it, let's begin. Please feel free to read along. And I'm going to start in Genesis 1:1. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Now the earth was formless and empty. Darkness was over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. God saw that the light was good, and he separated the light from the darkness. God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And there was evening, and there was morning, the first day. And God said, "Let there be a vault between the waters to separate water from water." So God made the vault and separated the water under the vault from the water above it. And it was so. God called the vault sky. And there was evening, and there was morning, the second day. And God said, "Let the water under the sky be gathered to one place, and let dry ground appear." And it was so. God called the dry ground land, and the gathered waters he called seas. And God saw that it was good. Then God said, "Let the land produce vegetation, seed-bearing plants and trees, on the land that bear fruit with seed in it, according to their various kinds." And it was so. The land produced vegetation, plants bearing seed according to their kinds, and trees bearing fruit with seed in it according to their kinds. And God saw that it was good. And there was evening, and there was morning, the third day. And God said, "Let there be lights in the vault of the sky to separate the day from the night, and let them serve as signs to mark sacred times, and days and years. And let them be lights in the vault of the sky to give light on the earth." And it was so. God made 2 great lights, the greater light to govern the day, and the lesser light to govern the night. He also made the stars. God set them in the vault of the sky to give light on the earth, to govern the day and the night, and to separate light from darkness. And God saw that it was good. And there was evening, and there was morning, the fourth day. And God said, "Let the water teem with living creatures, and let birds fly above the earth across the vault of the sky." So God created the great creatures of the sea and every living thing with which the water teems and that moves about in it, according to their kinds, and every winged bird according to its kind. And God saw that it was good. God blessed them and said, "Be fruitful and increase in number, and fill the water and the seas, and let the birds increase on the earth." And there was evening, and there was morning, the fifth day. And God said, "Let the land produce living creatures according to their kinds, the livestock, the creatures that move along the ground, and the wild animals, each according to its kind." And it was so. God made the wild animals according to their kinds, the livestock according to their kinds, and all the creatures that move along the ground according to their kinds. And God saw that it was good. Then God said, "Let us make mankind in our image, in our likeness, so that they may rule over the fish in the sea and the birds in the sky, over the livestock and all the wild animals, and over all the creatures that move along the ground." So God created mankind in his own image. In the image of God he created them. Male and female he created them. God blessed them and said to them, "Be fruitful and increase in number. Fill the earth and subdue it. Rule over the fish in the sea and the birds in the sky, and over every living creature that moves on the ground." Then God said, "I give you every seed-bearing plant on the face of the whole earth, and every tree that has fruit with seed in it. They will be yours for food. And to all the beasts of the earth, and all the birds in the sky, and all the creatures that move along the ground, everything that has the breath of life in it, I give every green plant for food." And it was so. God saw all that he had made, and it was very good. And there was evening, and there was morning, the sixth day. Thus the heavens and the earth were completed in all their vast array. By the seventh day, God had finished the work he had been doing. So on the seventh day, he rested from all his work. Then God blessed the seventh day and made it holy, because on it he rested from all the work of creating that he had done. And we're going to stop there. We read from Genesis 1:1 to Genesis 2, verse 3. So with these verses, there are two main points that I would like to emphasize. The first one is that with us believing that the Bible is true, we know that God created the universe. And that's just incredible. That's just incredible to think that every living thing, even the non-living things like air and like the sky, he created all that. He created everything that we see and don't see. And so the main takeaway I take from that is that he's all-powerful, and the fact that he made all of that, he wouldn't have just made all of that for no purpose. Everyone on this earth is someone that God created, meaning that every single person has a purpose. God is so amazing and works in so many amazing ways. The second point that I wanted to emphasize was that God rested on the seventh day. And I feel like he did this to set an example for us. In the last video that I had recorded, we talked about the Sabbath and how the Sabbath is the Jews' day of rest, if you will. And like for Christians, we rest on Sundays kind of thing. So that's like our Sabbath, if you will. And I think it's important that we see that God rested because it set an example for us. It's important to rest. self-care is important. So make sure to make time to take care of yourself, because that's important. Your health, your safety, it's much, much more important than the work. So those are the 2 points I'd like to emphasize the most in this Bible study that we're doing tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great night, day, morning, whichever time you're watching this. I hope it's just as wonderful as you are. Thank you. Until next time. Bye.